Dear students, welcome to today's class. In today's class, I will be teaching how to treat consumable items. What are these consumable items? Sports materials, stationery, medicines, etc., which are used in the club are all treated as consumable items. These consumable items are revenue items. Is it clear? So, what is the meaning of revenue? Revenue means these items are of recurring nature. They repeat again and again. Is it clear? So, in income and expenditure account, what are the items we are showing there already? We are showing only revenue items. Is it clear? Items which are of capital nature have to be recorded in the balance sheet. And what are the other things you have to keep in mind while preparing income and expenditure? Items which are related to current year alone should be recorded in income and expenditure account. Understood? So, consumable items should be shown in the debit side of income and expenditure account. How much you have used, what you have used should be shown on the debit side of the income and expenditure account. Suppose if you make a sale of any old sports materials, anything like that, what you have to do when there is a sale made of old items of the consumable materials means that should be shown on the credit side of the income and expenditure account. Okay. Then what is the other thing you have to keep in mind? Only what is consumed, only what is used will be shown on the debit side, and what is sold will be shown on the credit side, and then what is not consumed, that is unconsumed materials, that will be shown in the asset side of the balance sheet. Why? Why this unconsumed materials is shown on the asset side? Because they are at the end of the year and they are the closing stock. Closing stock is an asset. I have to be shown in the balance sheet, that is the asset side of the balance sheet. Okay. So, these are the things you have to keep in mind. What is consumed? Consumed, what is used should be shown on the debit side of income and expenditure account. Okay. What is unconsumed should be shown on the asset side of balance sheet, and what is sold will be shown on the credit side of income and expenditure account. Okay. So, these are the things you have to keep in mind. Consumed, put it on the debit side of income and expenditure account. Unconsumed should be shown on the asset side of balance sheet. What is sold? Consumable items which are all sold, that will be shown on the credit side of the income and expenditure account. And then what is the formula you have to keep in mind to find the consumed? Opening stock, add purchases, what is purchased during the year, purchases, then deduct closing stock. Why closing stock is subtracted? Closing stock is the item or the materials which are unconsumed, not used. Is it clear? So, we have to deduct it. Hope you understood, children. Opening stock, add purchases, deduct closing stock. Understood the rules for consumable items? This is a treatment has to be done. So, I will explain one sum, I will teach you one sum so that you can understand better. Question number 15, page number 75. I will read the question, just watch the screen, understand the question, then move on to the sum. How will the following appear in the final accounts of Vedaranyam Sports Club? Opening stock of bats and balls 3000, purchase of bats and balls during the year 17,000, sale of old bats and balls 2000, closing stock of bats and balls 4000. Okay. How will the following appear in the final accounts of Vedaranyam Sports Club? You are asked to show these items in the final accounts. Okay. So, what you have to prepare? You have to show income and expenditure account, and you have to prepare the balance sheet. First, we will write the income and expenditure account. So, before that you write like this, in the center of the page you write, in the books of Vedaranyam Sports Club. Then you write income and expenditure account for the year ended. Date is not given, so just put dotted lines. Debit side, expenditure. We say income and expenditure account, but when you are writing, you have to start with the expenditure. Why? Debit all expenses. What is the golden rule? Debit all expenses. So, put expenditure on the debit side. Income, credit side. Okay. See the question, children. Opening stock of bats and balls. Now, what are these bats and balls? They are all sports materials. Is it clear? So, they are treated as revenue items and they are consumable items. Bats and balls are consumable items. So, I already told you consumable items should be shown on the debit side of the expenditure account. What is the opening stock and how much you purchased during the year, both should be shown on the debit side, that is on the expenditure side. Okay. So, opening stock. So, before that you write like this: 2 bats and balls consumed, that is used, how much you have used, bats and balls consumed. Okay. Under that you write opening stock. Opening stock how much? Opening stock is 3000. So, put it on the inner column, stock 3000. With this opening stock, what you have to do? What are the purchase you made? What is the purchase you made during the year? That should be added here. Okay. So, write here add purchases made during the year. Purchases, that is 17,000 bats and balls you have purchased. So, that you add, again put it in the inner column. Is it clear? Then closing stock is 4,000, but before that there is a sale of old bats and balls. So, there is a sale, we are selling the old bats and balls. Sales, what you are doing when you are selling the old items, money is coming inside, income is coming inside. So, that is an income. Sale of old bats and balls is a revenue, it is an income. So, put it on the credit side. Write like this: by sale of old bats and balls. The sale you have made it for 2000. After that, what is given? Closing stock. What I have to do? Closing stock should be subtracted. Why I am subtracting closing stock? Closing stock is unconsumed materials at the end, or unconsumed bats and balls which are at the end of the accounting period. So, closing stock is an asset. So, that will not come in income and expenditure account. So, what you have to do? This closing stock should be subtracted. Is it clear? So, you have to subtract closing stock. Closing stock of bats and balls 4,000. They are unconsumed items. So, that should be deducted. 16,000. Put it in the outer column. Understood, children? What you have to do? Bats and balls consumed. What are the bats and balls are? Sports materials. They are revenue items and they are consumable items. So, what is consumed should be put on the debit side. Start with the opening stock of bats and balls. With that, add purchases. Closing stock is the unconsumed materials, that should be deducted, and the remaining 16,000 put it in the outer column. Then, what is this? Sale of old bats and balls. When you are selling these sports materials, you are getting a revenue or an income, that should be credited to the income side of income and expenditure account. Hope you understood, children. Then, what you have to do? You have to show it in the final account. So, what else you have to prepare? You have to prepare the balance sheet. So, what are the items will appear in the balance sheet? We will see that next. The balance sheet as on, date is not given, put up dotted lines. Then liabilities, assets. What should come to the asset side? Closing stock is the closing stock are the unconsumed sports materials. That is an asset. So, closing stock bring here. So, you have to write like this: stock of bats and balls. How much that is? 4,000. Understood, children? So, only stock of pads and balls that is unconsumed, it is an asset at the end of the year. So, put it on the asset side. Okay. So, understood? Thank you.